Alright, today we're going to talk about the Walking Liberty half dollar. And this coin came about the same way the Mercury dime did. When the Barber dime, quarter, half dollar, when they ran their course of 25 years, they wanted to replace the coin. So what they did was they had some designs come about. One of those designs was the Barber half dollar, the Walking Liberty half dollar, which replaced the Barber half dollar. So this design was what they decided to use for the half dollar. And it pretty much was just, that was it. They just wanted to replace it, and they also wanted to put beauty on the coin. A lot of people say this is one of the most beautiful circulation designs that they made that was like a non-gold issue. And they also reused the obverse for the Silver Eagle program, so they do determine that. Alright, the design of the coin. The obverse of the coin is Lady Liberty walking, which is why they call them Walking Liberties. There's a sun to the left side, and then around the top it has Liberty and the date on the bottom, and In God We Trust over to the right side. Now the reverse of the coin has a beautiful eagle. I think this is one of the most beautiful eagles you can find on a coin. A beautiful eagle, United States of America around the top, E Pluribus Unum, some branches, probably olive branches, and it says half dollar at the bottom. So that's a beautiful, beautiful design of a coin. Alright, the designer initials is right underneath the tip of the eagle feathers, to the right of dollar. It's kind of hard to see, but it's right up against the rim. And it's an AW for Adolph Weinman, just like the Mercury Winged Liberty dime has on the front of it. It's the same symbol, it's off to the edge of the rim. Alright, now the designer of this coin is Adolph Weinman. And just a little bit about him, he designed both the Winged Liberty Mercury dime, which is one of these, and also the Walking Liberty half dollar. He was known as a architectural sculptor, American sculptor. His son was also a sculptor. Not really much about him. It was just, this was one of them deals that happened a lot where they stopped using the just the mint engravers, and they brought in a lot of sculptors during this time, and he depicted what they wanted to see. They wanted to see nice coins, and this design also on the Walking Liberty half dollar was later reused for the Silver Eagle. So his influence is still out there. So that's a little bit of detail about the designer of this coin. Alright, specifications of this coin. It was 12.5 grams, 90% silver, 10% copper. It contained 0.36169 ounces of pure silver, and it was 30.6 millimeters in diameter and has a reeded edge, which, as you can see here, that's what the reeded edge would be. This is not a Walking Liberty, but that's what the reeded edge would look like. Alright, mint mark locations and mints, what mints minted them. They were made at the San Francisco, Philadelphia, and Denver mints, so it would be a plain for P, a D, or an S. In 1916 and 1917, they made an obverse version, which would have been right under "In God We Trust" to the right side of the coin. Then in 1917, they made another version, which they stuck with to the end of the series, which was they put the mint mark on the left side of $50 underneath the eagle and the branches. And they made, again, P, D, and S varieties. So in 1917, there was actually more than one variety of the 1917, because they had a 1917, then they had a D with an obverse, a D with a reverse, a S with an obverse, and an S with a reverse. So that was when they switched it. Alright, we're now on to mintages. Mintages can be a little bit tricky with the Walking Liberties for the early dates especially, but as we look through here, the 1916 is obviously going to be one you want to get. The 16 Philadelphia was only 608,000. The Denver was a little over 1 million, and the San Francisco was 508,000. Also, the obverse mint marks of the 17s are 765,000 and 952,000. The Philadelphia, since they didn't put a mint mark, you can't distinguish between the two time frames. So that one's actually probably one of the most common you can get, because they made 12 million of those total. And then if you go through, like the 1919 Philadelphia is under 1 million. The 21s, the 21 and 21D are very hard to get because there was only 250, 200,000 of those made. The 21S, only 500,000 of those were made. And it's the same thing with like the Mercury dime. You'll notice that in this time frame, in 1921, they cut a lot of the mintages. But then most of the other ones are pretty much just common date stuff. There's not too many others that are big keys except for the 38D, which can be in higher grades is very expensive. But even in lower grades, it's like a $75 coin when you go into a low grade. But besides that, the rest of them are all common. There's not really much else about them. They all made at least a few million. A lot of them are even higher than that. But the 38D, they only made about 500,000. Alright, the key dates to the Walking Liberty series, you're always going to want to get a 16 because not only are they harder to get, the 16s have lower mintages, and you're always going to want to get the 17s with the obverse and the reverse mint mark because those are, that's a transition that you want to know, and the obverse mint marks are the harder to get of those, so you definitely want to look out for those. And then again, you want to get the 21s. 21 PD and S are nice to get, and the 38D is nice to get. The rest of them are all really fairly common, and you can pick up low grade ones for melt, so that's pretty cool. The only other few things that you'd want to know is if you get a 28 Denver, it is a counterfeit. They did not make any 28 Denvers, but there's a lot of them floating around out there. Also, there's a 46 double die reverse that's out there that you could pick up. And there's also a few proof types that didn't have the initials, and there's some small and large mint mark varieties like on the 42S and the 34D and the 28S. But those are just kind of varieties that you can get into that you don't really have to get into, but you can. So that is the Walking Liberty $50, and all its, all the basic stuff you need to know. If you want to get more in depth, you can always contact me. We can we can give you some of the information. You know, we might be able to look it up for you. We might be able to direct you where you can look it up. But it's really good to know what you're looking for before you actually buy it.